So, class today, I'm going to talk about some genetic jargon. And the first one is intragenetic reversion, and then I will explain it. So why did I do that? I am leading the audience. Everybody was following me only to up to here, this point. They would not be reading somewhere down here. We are on the same spectrum. Okay, very simple. Just break it up. And then, okay, now we finish the first one. I will talk about this. Then I will talk about that. Okay, so you lead the audience. And that's very important. So otherwise, the audience will be looking everywhere. All right. Now, that was not very good. The reason that slide is still not very good is because there are too many words. Now, what is your experience as an audience, in the audience? Try to read the complicated slide. You try to read it. That's our human habit. You try to read and read. But when there are many long sentences, you cannot completely read it. And you get panic. You really get panic. Okay? Now, so the way that you design slide is that you don't write full sentences. Don't write full sentences. Use phrases. 片语, bullet points, 片语. Let me show you some example that I took out from New York Times, my favorite newspaper that I read every day. I love the way that they set the titles. And those are good examples. Okay. Amy Groom, Obama pledges recovery. You could do it differently. You can say, the economy is really bad right now. Obama went to give a talk, and he said that the economy will get better. You get it? Okay? Second example. Now, this one I need you to guess, and some of you may have already guessed that. At one point, New York Times put out a title of a report. It said, in an all-around talent, obscured by his pedigree. Who is this person the New York Times is talking about? Let me give you a hint. It's a basketball player. It's somebody who has something related to Taiwan. So who is this person? Jeremy Lin, right? When Jeremy Lin was first had the insanity in New York City, he was a superstar. New York Times ran a long report using this title. And all around talent. He played basketball very well. He can do all kinds of things. But he was obscure because of his pedigree. Because he was Harvard educated. Nobody thinks Harvard student can play basketball. Right? So how lively is that? How beautiful of the capturing of the report that is. Now the next one, the Indian student would take to heart. Slumdog Millionaire. Starless movies, Starry Night. How nice. Slumdog Millionaire, 平民百万富翁那一部电影. On the next day of Oscar Award, they put out a report with this title. And you see, this is so beautiful. Starless movie. Because no one is star, really a movie star. But on that day, it's doing their Starry Night. So what I'm trying to get at is that whenever you need to put down something on writing, on the slide, think about it, design it. Try to make it simple for people to follow. Don't write long sentences. Okay? Now, here is a bad example, and then you try to read it. Try to say, I show you this example. I go back to the introduction of dead box protein. If I do it this way, that's not very good. I said, today, class, I'm going to talk about the dead box proteins, and then, dead box proteins are enzymes that are found everywhere. So far, so good, right? So far, so good. It is readable. You are with me. Okay, second thing is that they function in splicing, messenger export translation, and messenger turnover with RNA. Manageable so far. Next one. I'm going to be explaining about this function of the data protein, and you will be trying to read these things. And you cannot catch up with me. I cannot catch up with you. Everybody get lost. And then you can see the point. The next one was even worse. And then just get worse, worse, worse. Okay? So a better way to do it, as I said, phrases, don't write sentences, bullet points. Okay? So now here, the box protein ubiquitous. One single word tell the importance of the dead box protein is everywhere. Second one is function in all RNA-related process. Important. Okay. Third, nearly all of them are essential. Important. Okay. Fourth, these enzyme activity. One word. Eliminate words that are necessary. My student knows how picky I am. When they show me their PowerPoint, I say, take out this word, take out that word. You don't need that. You don't need that. Reduce, 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 reduce. Keep the essential. Leave the rest of them for your own talking. Okay? So you see the points right here. So that's better. Now, how do you break it up? How do you break it up? There is a song by Paul Simon. Okay, a very, very famous folk song singer in the U.S. He said, 50 ways to be a lover. So when I first encountered this song, I was very curious. I want to find out what are the 50 ways, right? So I went to read the lyrics of the song. I could not find a way. Then he was trying to trick the listener. Okay, so I said, there are many ways you can make it easier. Just break it up. Okay, complication demands breakup. Complexity demands breakup. How do you do that? All you have to do is first learn how to use simple animation. And I emphasize the word. You all know about animation. And you all know how to do that in PowerPoint. I emphasize simple. Haven't you seen graduate student doing a PowerPoint, showing a slide, and then the next one, when the next one shows up, you go, bam! A huge sound show up. Or the next line show up, it goes from boom, 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 boom. Or the next one show up, go with another sound. Don't do that. Simple animation. Just let it show up. Okay? This is a science talk. This is not trying to give a comics stand-up comedy show. Okay? Don't do that. The way that you are using PowerPoint is to focus critical point in sequence, one by one, that people can follow. So create a sync environment. Everybody is on the same page. Now the next one, so that you can take in charge of the speaker. As I am doing now, you are following me. Okay, use animation. And then, so you can manage the audience. All right, so that's a simple thing. So how do you do that? Look at this slide. So everybody have different assessment. Do you think this slide is complicated or very complicated? Okay, simple. Which one you would choose? And different people have different assessment. Some will say, okay, this is acceptable. But when you really analyze this slide, it is still very complicated because there are many things on here. I would consider this slide already complicated. But I want to use this slide. How should I do that? I have a talking point, right? I want to go from one point to the other. So my laboratory is working now with RNA helicases that are involving RNA processes. And then, for example, we work with PRP28 and sub2. They are involved in splicing. So this is simple animation. So you focus immediately the audience's attention to one area, and one area at a time. They will not shift it to looking at this. They will be following this. Simple audio. And then we also work on a different helicase that involve in ribosomal biogenesis, and you get a point. Okay, so you just take the audience with you. Okay, if you need to use complicated slide, make sure you do that. Many people, search your experience, please. Have you attended a seminar, and a seminar speaker would put out a gel that consists of about 20 lanes? And then he would be talking about, okay, the controller like this, it doesn't even use speaker well, the pointer well. And so you will be wondering which lane you are talking about. And you really get panic. You worry about you cannot get it, okay? So the way that you want to do that, if you want to do 20 lanes, what you should do is that you use the animation, use a big red box. When you press it, you go to there. But everybody is looking at there. Okay? So why doing using animation also help yourself? A lot of graduate students, when they prepare seminar or prepare journal club, they thought that they have done it. Once they put all the slides together, they thought they have done it. Then the problem arises. As soon as they step on the podium, begin to show the first slide, they look at the slide. Where should I begin to talk? Should I talk about here? Should I talk? They forgot. They get nervous. But using a simple animation, reduce the problem. When you press it, you say, oh, I'm going to talk about this. Oh, so you already built the storylines. Implicitly already built in it. Use animation to build your storyline. So you move from one place to the other places. Okay, so now, how do you reduce the signal transduction here? And I promise you that I'm going to do that. So you have a very complicated slide. You didn't want to change it, and then you got too lazy. You don't want to redraw it. So break it up. This is not very good, but it's not better. Okay? I say today I'm going to show you a signal transduction here, and then so we're going to talk about there's a signal transduction molecule, or TNF, that first bind to the surface molecule receptor. Okay, everybody's with me, right? Everybody's with me. You break it up, and then once the receptor been bound, they become polymerized, and then further transduce the signal downstream to the other molecule, etc., 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 etc. Break it up. It's not too difficult. Just break it up. So the audience will follow you. Now, so here's one nice example done by my postdoc. Okay, so you have seen it before. Today, we're going to talk about splicing. Splicing started with first you want to bind to there and not commit the prevention RNA into splicing pathway. And then it will follow by binding two proteins to the bridge side. And the two proteins would then have to be removed by U2. Okay, and then the splicing can continue. These are simple animation. If you carefully design it, people will follow. Okay, so then the typical way that when you begin the talk is that you give an introduction, and then you talk about your goal. Then you want to begin to show your data. Now, you find that many of the time when speakers begin to talk about the data, then people get lost. But there is an easy way to help yourself out. So here, this is perhaps for the students in the audience, this is the most important slides of my entire talk. You should remember. So how do you present the data? First of all, you have to state the question very, very well. Hypothesis very well. And it follows by telling people how did you do the experiment. Explain the experimental strategy very well. And then this is the most important one. Especially for very complicated data. You should show people the anticipated result. If my hypothesis is correct, the result will look something like this. If my hypothesis is not right, it's the other way. It will look something like that. Why you want to do that? Because I told you, right? So when you show a gel that contains the 200 bands, nobody knows what to look for. But if you show them a representative, you draw it out, say, okay, if this is right, it's going to look like this. You prime them. You prime the audience where to look for, what to look for. So you should put out anticipated result. Then you should go into your data analysis. Then that becomes easy. Then people know where to look for. And then you get it. And then after the data analysis, you need to make a conclusion, summary, a short conclusion summary. And then that brings to the next logical question. Next logical question. And then you just kind of follow this strategy over and over again. I found that graduate students follow this rule. Even if they cannot give a very appealing seminar, at least people won't get lost. Okay? So remember that you can help yourself out with this. I'm going to show you an example.